Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Podcast Daily. It is Freaky Friday, and we are all together getting ready for the spring game. That is Jeremy Birmingham. That is Bill Landis. I think that's right. I can actually see their names on the board for the first time in this new and improved platform that we're using. Knock on wood, the audio and video is going to keep working for the first time that I've been part of this with all of you. So really excited for that, and really excited for Saturday in the Horseshoe. It is the spring game. And with that, it is time for Bold Peas to return.
Ooh, how exciting.
Feels right. Yeah.
What could be better?
I love to pee boldly.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
We're off to a great start on a Freaky Friday. I can hear a lot of people just scrolling to the next video on YouTube already.
Yeah, there was an audible groan at that comment. A great disturbance.
Predict boldly.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Bold predicts.
That's right.
Well, I think we've covered what we're going to do. Maybe we should
Yeah, maybe
go
we
ahead
should
and
do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Who wants to
panic
go
about
first?
the weather. So just get that out of the way, because I know it's like the chances of rain and thunderstorms for Saturday have been diminishing through the week, which all that means to me as the famous weather prognosticator that I be is that it's going to increase exponentially on Saturday morning.
Oh,
and
my
it'll
God.
end up thunderstorming at like 2:00 in the afternoon, because that's what happens when you have 5 straight days of beautiful summer weather, is you're eventually going to get walloped with a storm, and may as well
That's
be
the-
Saturday.
That's the worst bold prediction of all time.
Yeah, I don't actually mean it. It's I'm doing that reverse psychology thing that I do sometimes, where I talk myself into something happening, so therefore it won't.
I don't think that's how it works on bold predictions. I think you're actually just like speaking it into existence. You shouldn't have mentioned it at all.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess we'll see if how this goes. The nice thing is this is the spring game, and it doesn't really matter. So determining whatever happens on Saturday, I can know how to respond moving forward as we head into the summer and actually worrying about real games.
The spring game doesn't matter. That really adds a lot of gravitas to this episode.
Bill, what's your first prediction for Saturday?
That it won't rain. No, my first bold prediction is about Jaden Ballard, who had a decent amount of buzz early in the spring and then immediately got jumped by Carnell Tate. You
never know. He has moved up the ranks quickly. He has moved up the ranks quickly.
Aspirations. Who knows? I don't want to sell him short. Carnell Tate, I think, stole all the receiver headlines very quickly, and we just kind of stopped talking about Jaden Ballard. But I don't think that means that Jaden Ballard suddenly fell off or was having a bad spring. I think he was actually still having a pretty good spring, and I think he will remind people of that on Saturday with 2 touchdowns of 50 yards or more. I know that Brian Hartline wants him to be a quote unquote complete receiver, and there's time for him to get there. But in the meantime, he's really fast. So let him go be really fast. And he's going to catch 2 bombs from Kyle McCord, if I want to drill down a little bit, on Saturday afternoon.
First drill down of the show. We love to see it. I think the stat sheet is going to look bizarre on Saturday. They always do. But when you start factoring in tapping a quarterback, grazing his shoulder, and getting credit for a sack, it starts to look a little silly. So I think that Ohio State's defensive line is going to be credited with 13 sacks on Saturday. A baker's dozen.
That's a lot.
Well, okay, and keep listening. This is some actual, thought put into this. Ryan Day and Larry Johnson said there's 5 defensive ends that can play in this game. So we can't split up. We can't draft. We're going to go 1s versus 1s and 2s versus 2s. So that means they're not going to be taking JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer off as much as you might normally in a spring game. Potentially. I don't know. That was if you have to play this way to get through and rotate through drives, I would guess that the best defensive linemen are going to be on the field a lot. And the way that JT, Jack, Kenyatta Jackson, Mike Hall, Caden Curry have been attacking the offensive line throughout spring, they're gonna cap it on a high note. And defensive ends have something of a tradition of doing that in Ohio State's spring game, and it's just it's too easy. It's unfair. Like they're going to have advantageous matchups, and they get the benefit of just barely having to do anything to get credit for a sack. And they're going to get credit for a lot of them.
I mean, I don't disagree in principle. I just think that 13 may be a touch too high, because I think after like 10, Ryan Day may just call the scrimmage off and say, this is enough.
7-on-7. 7-on-7.
I remember one like early on when I started covering the team where Noah Spence and Adolphus Washington had 7 by themselves. Like that's halfway to what I'm talking about here. That's almost correct math.
That's half the way to Mars. I like when our bold predictions completely like butt heads. And my first one is that it's going to be Carnell Tate who does the explosion from the offensive side of the ball on Saturday.
Colonel Tate?
3 touchdowns from the Colonel. I mean, he's got a new nickname now, which is great. He didn't know it. I don't think he wants it. He certainly didn't ask for it. But now he's named Colonel Tate. And Colonel is going to be dominating because he's going to be on the field a lot. I mean, we know Marvin Harrison's barely going to play. You know, Xavier Johnson's not going to play. Mecca Booker's not going to play. Julian Fleming's not going to play. It's going to be Ballard and Carnell Tate most of the time out there with the ones, I think, on the outside. And Carnell Tate is, every time we've seen practice, every video, everything you hear, like it's constant, just climbing that chart. And he is physically going to be a tough matchup for any cornerback, but especially if he's out there against like Ryan Turner or Jair Brown, who are a little bit smaller. I think that that's a tough matchup. I think he's going to lead the team in receptions, yards, and touchdowns with 3 on Saturday. I'm not going to go out there and say any of them are 50-yard tutties, but I think that you're going to see him get the ball a lot because, as mentioned, the Buckeyes are probably going to try to throw it quite a bit, as we've talked about throughout the spring. So I think Carnell Tate is going to be dominate Tate.
Berm with the reverse drill down. He's lifting up on that bold prediction.
Correct.
I agree that the ball will be in the air quite a bit on Saturday. I do have a prediction as it relates to running the football, but I will save that for the next go around. Because the ball will be thrown so much, I think that Ohio State's secondary will have 3 interceptions. We've seen like Kyle McCord's thrown a couple in practice, which is like not a thing I mentioned to alarm anybody. Just like stuff happens when you're practicing, and I don't care if a quarterback really throws interceptions in practice, if I'm being honest. But I think he might turn the ball over a time or two, especially if he's going to be throwing it more now that Devin Brown's not playing. So maybe he throws one. There's going to be probably more walk-on quarterbacks playing than maybe initially anticipated because they're down a guy now. So I think the opportunities will be there for this secondary to show us why Ryan Day and Jim Knowles and Tim Walton and Perry Liano have just been like glowing in their reviews of that entire position group. So three takeaways. One for Denzel Burke, who Ryan Day said is playing the best football he's played since he's been here this spring. One for Kai Stokes because he's a spring game star. And one for Jair Brown just because I like him and I hope he gets one.
Maybe
they should let the 50-50 winner play quarterback in this game.
That's a great idea.
You know, like, so you win the 50% of the money that is earned in the fundraiser on Saturday. Something new for Ohio State fans if you're going to be there. That's go to the spring game for $7 and come home with a bag full of cash. It's like you're a recruit. You know what I mean? And then you get to play quarterback. Like that'd be a pretty cool way to go.
Wow. Do you think that the winner will keep their share of the cash, or will they just walk out there and start handing out $100 bills to current members of the Buckeyes?
I think they will keep the money.
I have a question. about the 50-50. Berm, who's the biggest recruit coming this weekend?
Biggest is subjective, of course, but
just like
Jeremiah Smith will be in town. Uncommitted, probably JoJo Trader, Jeremiah Smith's 5-star teammate at Chaminade Madonna High School in Hollywood, Florida.
So if you're JoJo Trader, can you enter the 50-50, then win the half that the person wins, but then also get the other half that's for recruits? Like, can he get the whole thing?
I want to be clear about something as it pertains to raffle issues at Ohio State. That is not something that Ohio State takes lightly. You cannot fix a raffle at Ohio State because we do not know how deep it went. But we do know that it went deep enough to involve potential raffle rigging.
How deep did it go?
Well, that would be really something. I think that we should try. Let's just see.
Like, why don't they just okay, I'm kind of talking in jest about playing quarterback, but why not let the winner like call a series of plays? You know what I mean? Like, that'd be fun. Be a cool way to get people to buy in next time.
I think those opportunities already exist without winning a raffle. I think that's what the 1870 group is working towards, including, all inclusive immersive experiences. I think I didn't see that listed on their website yet, but I bet it will be for next year.
That'd be fun. I think
Let's
it'd be a
pool
neat
our
way to go.
resources and so that we can get on the headset in the spring game next year.
I've got $1.25.
Punt. Run punt.
It's the most important play in football. I guess I should have got my Denzel Burke prediction out of the way before Bill went. He sniped me. He's in mid-season form heading into the spring game. Clearly, if there's going to be 3 interceptions, one's going to be Denzel Burke, one's going to be Cameron Martinez, and the third is going to be Josh Proctor. That seems obvious. I don't know what you're thinking.
My mistake.
Yeah. I'm not talking about 2 of those people, though. I don't know why I said that. That was stupid. I think that Jelani Thurman is going to score 2 tutties in this game, and people are going to go absolutely crazy town banana pants talking about him in this offense. Sort of like I've done over the last 2 weeks, breaking my own rules multiple times. He's a matchup problem. This is the situation that favors him. Ohio State does tend to actually throw to the tight ends a lot more in spring camp and spring practice than they do in September, October, November, or December. So I think that's probably why we spend so many off seasons talking about why it could be the year of the tight ends. And we're going to do that again this year because Jelani Thurman is hijacking a lot of my attention, a lot more than I would have expected. G. Scott, Joe Royer, and Cade Stover are relatively known commodities. That's maybe stretching it a bit. G, because he hasn't been as productive in actual games. Joe Royer, because he's not really played a great deal and had to deal with the injury setbacks and personal tragedy a year ago. And then Cade, second half of the year dealing with injuries, but those guys are more veteran players. So I don't know that they need a tremendous amount of work on Saturday, which again would open more opportunities for Jelani Thurman. So that is, again, more serious analysis of the spring game than is required or probably desired.
Yeah, but you asked Ryan Day about Jelani on Thursday or Wednesday. What was his response about that?
That it was sort of a mix. It was like a compliment sandwich that he's not done yet. I think that there was a little bit of caution that when you say that somebody is embracing the opportunity to learn and grow, that means that the coaching staff doesn't feel like they are fully complete, nor should they be in their first spring on campus. I think there's, as impressive as he is to look at physically, there's still more strength that can be put on there. There's still going to be more development as a blocker. A lot of the things that people get tired of hearing about tight ends. But in terms of just like going out there and performing, like I think Ohio State can see the ceiling and start, planning on ways to use him. It was more, there were twice as many compliments as there were cautions about, he can't play at all. It's good development position. That was in there, but there was more praise than I expected.
In a compliment sandwich, shouldn't the compliment be the meat, or is the compliment the bread? Because, and then the bad part is the meat.
Well, the bread is the most important part of the sandwich. So
if you don't have good bread, like what are you even doing? You're wasting your time. There's no there's no meat you can put in between there that's going to save a sandwich from bad bread.
All right, fair.
Preach.
This is why we're really getting to the heart of the matter here. Caden Curry's going to have 5 sacks. I don't know if he's. I don't know how many. I don't know how many.
He tells you the 13 is a crazy number.
Yeah, I don't know how many the rest of. I don't know how many the rest of the guys are going to have, but Caden Curry's going to have 5 because he's just going to be on the field a lot because he's sort of in that no man's land between Jack and JT and Omari and Kenyatta. So he's sort of stuck in that no man's land there where he might be on the field more than the other guys, I think. And I don't.
If Caden is going to have 5,
nobody likes blocking.
JT is going to have 100.
No, because I just don't believe that JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer are going to play that much. I know that they were saying there's only 5 defensive ends. I just don't think they're going to be on the field that much. I think you're going to let the second-year guys, Caden Curry, Kenyatta Jackson, Omari Abor, sort of do the yeoman's work, and I don't think anyone wants to block Caden Curry. And if they wanted to, I'm not sure anyone who he's going to be regularly rotating against is capable of doing so. So I really think he's going to be annoying to quarterbacks on Saturday, and to the tune of a 5-pack, a five bagger.
I do think it'll be interesting if the first part of your premise is correct, that JT and Jack don't play a lot, to evaluate some pass rush reps for Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry against the quote-unquote starting tackles. Josh Fryer, we can assume, is one, and then there's the battle at right tackle. Like, I'm trying to think, Bill, you've watched more of the like pure pass rush one-on-one opportunities than I have. Naturally, I just don't remember seeing a ton of opportunities for Kenyatta and Caden specifically to go against, the top of the top on the Ohio State offensive line.
Yeah, that sounds right. Caden especially. I think maybe I've seen Kenyatta go against maybe Zen a couple times, but I don't recall seeing Caden do it. So, I mean, yeah, sign me up for that too. I think as much as I would love to see JT contribute to a Baker's dozen sacks, I don't need to watch him play in the spring game. Like, there's probably a list of like 6 or 7 guys that if they wanted to go out there and shorts and t-shirts and just hang out and not play football, that'd be fine with me. But Caden Curry is certainly not one of those guys, and neither is Kenyatta Jackson, and really no one who's in the competition at tackle would fit that category for me either. So the more we can see that group of people go against each other, I'm all for it. I hope that's the entire game. Don't even put the quarterbacks out there. Just line them up, do pass rush for 2 hours, and we'll call it an afternoon.
Do you hear what that was, folks? That was a drill down. Sweet drill down.
They always got it going.
Yeah.
Who else is on your list of guys who don't need to play?
Marvin, who's not going to play, or I was going to say won't play a ton. I can't imagine. That might be it, because a lot of the guys.
Donovan Jackson.
Donovan Jackson, maybe Matthew Jones. A lot of those guys are like hurt anyway, so I guess they're already on the list. Unfortunately for them,
they're already in shorts and t-shirts.
That's right.
It is interesting
Vacation
that Ryan Day said a lot of those guys would like go through individual periods. Like he said that Emeka and Julian Fleming would, which makes sense in that it's not like an actual game. It is practice number 15. So you might as well get them some work before they have to take 3 months off before practice number 16, which, as we all know, is what the first practice of training camp is in August.
That's right.
So, yeah, I mean, Cade Stover, I don't think has to do a lot. I would put him in that mix. Like,
especially because it's so important for the younger tight ends to get these reps. I mean,
right?
It's guys like Cade, guys like Marvin, like they're going to want to be on the field, even though it's a spring game and they don't need to be. But there are so many guys below them on the depth chart that have to get these reps that you just can't waste your time putting them out there.
I agree.
Okay. I can't argue with it.
It's time for my third bold prediction.
Something about the running game. I
yes, that's right. Well, you give it ESPN or something. We've talked a lot about the running backs this year, or this spring, deservedly so. One guy we've like not talked about, and not that we would because he's a walk-on, is Wiltrell Hartson, who is a guy who should be a scholarship running back somewhere. He had MAC offers. He had like Temple offered him, Boston College offered him, and somehow he's a walk-on at Ohio State. I don't know how Tony Alford does it. He continues to bring in guys who should be scholarship players elsewhere to play for free at Ohio State. So good for him, I guess. That is a long way of me saying that Wiltrell Hartson, will be Ohio State's leading rusher in the spring game. I think that Chip Traynham.
That's the type of bold prediction I'm here for, Bill.
That's right. Chip Traynham and Dallin Hayden, I think, will get a little bit of work. And honestly, like Dallin at least played so much last year that I don't know how much he needs to do in a spring game either. I think they'll want to get a good look at them. But when it gets into the second half of that game and they're just trying to run things down and get to the country music concert in the Woody as fast as they can afterward, I think that Wiltrell is going to be the guy who's toting the rock for Ohio State. And he will, over the course of that second half when they're trying to run things down, amass enough yardage to end up being the leading rusher in the spring game. But I mostly just wanted to mention him because like TC Caffey, like I think turned a lot of heads last year with the opportunity that he got early in the year against Toledo. And I think Wiltrell is like a very similar kind of player, just like a very talented guy who Ohio State almost has no business having as a walk-on right now. It's like an incredible luxury for the program to have, but I don't want that to maybe undersell how talented some of these guys are.
Berm, where did this guy come from?
Massillon Washington High School, pretty good program over there in Northeast Ohio. He's a player that camped at Ohio State multiple times. They liked him all along. He just wanted to try his hand at playing for the Buckeyes. And, when you talk about guys like TC Caffey, who probably had the most impressive touchdown run of any player on the Ohio State football team a year ago, I don't even know what to call that run he had, the long touchdown run. But when you add a guy like those two players, like, it just pushes everyone. We always talk about how deep that running back room is, 5 deep, but it's actually much deeper than that, because they have not only TC Caffey and Wiltro Hartson, but Saunders, Cedric Saunders' son is there. I mean, Caden Saunders, you got dudes all over that room that can play and can play at the D1 level. It's an opportunity for those guys to work themselves into the record books, but it's also a chance to get yourself better in a year or two, really move on and be somewhere where you can be a star. So definitely understand the hype, though. Wiltro Hartson was a really good player at Massillon Washington High School. You know who else was a really good player in high school? CJ
Harrison.
Hicks. Yes, but Clay Aiken. CJ Hicks is going to do something on Saturday that is going to make people want him to play even more than people already want him to play. I don't know what it is. It's going to be, maybe it's a pick six, maybe it's a scoop and score for a fumble, maybe it's a blocked punt, maybe it's just blowing somebody up over the middle that we haven't seen in a spring game in a while. He can do everything.
You think they're going live on punt tomorrow?
I would. Why would you not? Don't you need to practice everything?
Oh my!
I mean, the concession stands are open, buddy. I'm going for it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If there's people in the
some
stadium,
delicious horseshoe chos are going to be available.
If people are eating chos, then you need to be going after the punter, and that's the way I see it. Especially after a year where Ohio State special teams, I don't know if you know this or not, did not exactly draw rave reviews. I think they should be going and doing everything they possibly can to get themselves more prepared. And CJ Hicks is going to find some way to make a highlight play or two. They're going to have people salivating through the summertime. Summertime.
That brings me to my last bold prediction, which is that Ohio State will not go live on special teams. There'll be no live periods of special teams, no punts, no kickoffs, no live field goal. I'm just going out on a limb. It's super bold.
Look, man,
that's how I feel.
If your previous season ended because of a botched field goal, I think you need to go out there and kick as many long field goals as you can with as much pressure on you as possible. That's just my take. Everyone has their take.
That'll get the 40,000 people Ohio State's hoping to show up. In addition to the 50,000 that have already brought tickets. Hey, come watch some field goals.
Remember how much
I'm not saying it's only field
you
goals.
Felt
clowns. I mean, what are you guys talking about?
Did
I say they're only having a field goal competition? I mean, they just need to do it.
Hey, Ohio State fans, do you remember the pain you felt on New Year's Eve when the ball dropped? Let's go relive that. Let's kick a bunch of 50-yard field goals over and over and over.
Exercise the demons. You just got to get out there and kick it. Stop thinking about it and start kicking about it. You know what I mean? Like, you've got 3 kickers. You got to figure out who the heck your kicker is this year. And I think a 15-minute end of the scrimmage kicking competition where you go live with everyone.
15 minutes.
Yeah, there's 3 kickers. They each kick 5 times, 1 per minute. How hard is this? Why are you guys making such a big deal out of it? I don't understand. This seems like it's a no-brainer to me. Like, they each kick the ball. Man. They each get 5 field goals, right? There's 3 kickers. That's 15 field goals. If you do 1 a minute and you just keep moving them back, what's the problem here?
Hey, everybody, we know you want to try and go get some autographs on the field, but if you could just hold off for 15 more minutes so that we can bang some field goals.
I'm not sure if you guys hear that, but that's the sound of accepting mediocrity creeping in. And I personally am against that. So if you guys are for that, which you're more than entitled to be, don't let me stand in your way. But for me, if it was my scrimmage, even if it's after the scrimmage is over and we're out back behind the stadium and the grass fields, we're kicking field goals. I just don't like being mediocre at stuff. My bad. Silly me. Fans, 75,000 of you better show up on Saturday, and I want you to chant, field goal, field goal, field goal. Do it for me, please. I don't ever ask for much from you, America, but in this instance, I'm asking for your help.
You've already asked them to bring the dab back this spring, and now you want 15 minutes of field goal session?
That's not just this spring. That is an extended effort, and it's working. I'm seeing it more and more.
I'm not.
I cast my vote for Bill's 2 hours of one-on-one pass rush over 15 minutes of field goal.
That is much more boring and much more likely to get people hurt.
I don't know.
Egos hurt.
The emotional pain on Ohio State fans to have to relive field goals over and over. I don't think you want to watch it, do you? Come on.
Is the time. Yes,
especially trotting out 3 guys who could have kicked the 50-yarder last year to then kick 50 yarders.
Exactly.
Just watch them all drill it. Yeah.
Now you're figuring it out.
Huh.
I just don't think that if you're going to do a spring game and you're going to invite people into your home, then you need to put on a show. And I think Ohio State fans understand that the Buckeyes need to be better on special teams. So let's see it. Show us what you're working with.
Okay. Didn't see that coming on a Freaky Friday, but I should have, because as Berm kicked it off by saying the spring game doesn't matter, and then closed out this episode by wanting to watch nothing but field goals, which won't matter either going into the summer.
It's wild how you just say I only wanted to watch field goals. That's just not true. I didn't say that at all. I'm going to flag this video for misinformation, because that, my friend, is trash what you're doing right now. Did not say I only want to watch field goals. I said I want to see a segment which is exclusively field goals. A segment. That's all.
15 minutes. That's 3 segments.
It depends on how long your segment is. Okay. In my mind, a segment's 15 minutes. I don't think you are the arbiter of what is a segment.
How many practices have we been to this spring? We know how long a segment is in Ohio State.
This is not a practice. This is not a practice. This is a.
It's practice
scrimmage.
number
This is
15 in the preseason.
This is an exhibition in order to
No.
show Ohio State fans what the Buckeyes are all about. And I want to see the Buckeyes boot the ball. That's what I'm all about.
Disinformation. This is spring practice number 15.
That's where we end the show, folks. Here's a final bowl prediction: 85,000 Buckeyes fans show up on Saturday for the spring game. It's going to be a beautiful day. There's not going to be any rain. Show up, support your favorite team. It's beautiful. There's beer. There's, what do you want? What else are you doing? Come on.
You can't have it both ways. You can't predict it's going to rain and then tell everyone it's going to be beautiful.
I can do whatever I want. This is called shifting a position over time. I have matured. I have grown from the beginning of the show to now. I have seen some different weather models, and now I'm feeling better.
It's been a real pleasure to watch your journey.
Personal growth isn't always fun, but sometimes it's necessary. And in this case, it's were.
Yeah. Well said.
Thank you.
Spring game, Saturday, noon in the Horseshoe. We will be there for full coverage on both the podcast platform and at ohiostate.rivals.com. Looking forward to it. It is, as Berm said, going to be an immaculate day to watch a little bit of football as Ohio State closes out spring camp. Practice number 15 coming hot tomorrow. For Bill, Berm, I'm Austin. We will see you there. Bye.